Season 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. We're on to episode 3 this week, and hockey is officially back at CAA Arena. We are now 4 days into 2024-25 training camp. We are 2 days, not even 1 day, away from preseason hockey for the Belleville Sens, and that means we're about a week away from the start of the 24-25 season. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. David Foote and Brock Ormond here with you. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode this week. And, well, it's that time of year, Brock, where the episodes are going to get longer. They're going to get busier because the players are back. We finally have some good content, or better content, I suppose, to bring to the fans here now that the season's just a week away.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and once you hear the slapping of the pucks on the glass and the sticks and the skates and everything, and once you see the B logo back at center ice, you know it's back, and everybody's enjoying the training camp and getting to see some of their old favorite former players and some new ones as well, and some interesting names on the list for training camp for the Belleville Sens this year after a competitive Ottawa Sens camp for a bunch of them. So it's nice to see them back, and we're almost set to get going here, and it's just about a week away from opening night in Rochester, so it's exciting stuff, and summer has flown by, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
No, we certainly wouldn't. We'll remind you that you can get your first look at the guys on the ice again Friday night, October 4th. That is tomorrow. We're recording this show on Thursday the 3rd, but Friday night, October 4th, 7 p.m., Belleville against Laval. Sunday afternoon, October 6th, 3 p.m., Belleville against Toronto. And in between that, on Saturday the 5th, Toronto against Laval in preseason action at 3 p.m. as well. Tickets for all of those games are just $15.75. Taxes and fees in. It doesn't matter where you're sitting in the rink. It's about the best price you'll get to watch pro hockey almost anywhere. So make sure to stop by CAA Arena if you don't have much going on this weekend. Take in the preseason action, and we'll also remind you the tickets for the home opener presented by CAA, which is on October the 19th. Against the Utica Comets, AHL affiliate of the New Jersey Devils. Those tickets are on sale as well, as are tickets right through the first half of the season through January 19th. So we'll remind you that a few more times over the course of the show this week because we'd love to see a full barn here, Brock. Preseason maybe not as important, but certainly home opener night in a couple weeks, it would be important to have a full house and to show this team exactly the type of support they can get from the people of this city and the Bay of Quinte region.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw it last year, late in the season, the postseason, how loud this building can get, and at various points throughout last season, you could tell that people that are true fans of this team really care and really want to see them succeed. And maybe that little mini run the Sens went on last year that drew in a couple of maybe new fans or people who hadn't been to the games as much, maybe will help them stick around. And this team certainly was an entertaining group last year through much of the year and had probably one of the best seasons the Sens have ever had. So definitely why not come out and check it out and see who gets an opportunity to make this Sens team with, really very few spots available because there's a lot of returnees from last year.
Yeah, there is. And it's funny, too, as well. I don't know if the Belleville folks were expecting as many bodies as they have already. Like when Ottawa made their first set of cuts, they kept like 4 players up. I think they kept Jan Yannick, who was a potential to come down. They kept Zach Ostapchuk. They kept Tyler Clevin. They'd originally kept Donovan Sabrango as well. He is back, and they've got Matt Highmore still up there as well. So at least 4 players, if not a couple more that are slipping my mind, that are battling for limited spots in Ottawa. But Steve Staios and company with the parent club wasted no time in saying, look, we know we only have a few decisions to make. Let's get the rest of the team down to Belleville. Let's get them together. Let's get them, working on their game plans. And I think it's, tough for those guys to lose a few days or more at NHL camp. But I think that will pay off in the long run, getting back here to Belleville and getting on the ice together for a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. And Donovan Sabrango, as we mentioned last show, had a great camp. He had an outstanding camp in Ottawa, and it was certainly worth it to have him up there for a couple days longer, and then sends him here to Belleville and gives him an opportunity. Stephen Halliday had a great camp as well. in Ottawa, but it's understandable for him in particular to get him a full year of AHL action, and then Travis Green and company and Steve Staios may consider him as the first recall potentially for Ottawa once there's an injury or an illness or something happens to a player. Halliday certainly deserved a good long look as well, and bringing those guys back here and a couple others with the vets that the B-Sens have built, that veteran core with the likes of Garrett Pilon and Nick Montempalo and newcomer Jeremy Davies and Hayden Hodgson as well, among many others. Angus Cruikshank, too, is going to be so massive for this team and this organization, and it shows that they've built a pretty good core here.
Yeah, Tyler Boucher obviously is back, looking to have a full injury-free season. Ditto for Phil Daou. All of the familiar names are back. Cole Reinhardt had an excellent NHL camp, and we talked to him on the show last week. He's back, and you can see these guys have picked up a step over the summer, and you can see that the time spent at whether it's development camp or rookie camp or the Ottawa training camp has certainly prepared them to come to Belleville ready to go.
Yes, absolutely, and Reinhardt mentioned him challenging a couple of tough guys. Sabrango, too, challenging Ryan Reeves. It's incredible to think what guys can do when they're given an opportunity, and it's nice to see Reinhardt and several other guys getting their chances in Ottawa. And for Reinhardt in particular, it's funny noticing the roster. He's not considered a rookie yet, of course, anymore, but he's not considered a veteran just yet either, which makes it just that much better, which means Dave Bell can get him into the lineup pretty consistently and give him an opportunity to see what he's got in his fifth season in the Belleville organization, the Belleville Ottawa organization. And like we said, he's a great penalty killer with great speed, and this team certainly could use some of that. Got a lot of speed as it is already, but it'll be interesting to see how they use him. And, of course, seeing other guys coming back from injuries, like you mentioned, Boucher, Philippe Daou as well, who has had just pretty much as nightmarish of a last two seasons as humanly possible for a professional player with all the injuries he's incurred. So it'd be great to have him hopefully get a full season and give him a chance to really make an impact and show what he can do for the fans and the staff here.
Well, training camp is well underway. Practice has begun just below us. We're up in the Jack Miller Press Box and Media Center. We'll be back after this short break. We'll hear from Coach Dave Bell after day 2 of training camp a couple of days ago, and then we'll continue on with our first player interviews of the 2024-25 season. Wyatt Bongiovanni will chat with us a bit about his summer, and we'll learn more about Xavier Bourgault, perhaps the most highly touted new arrival to the B-Sens this season. Now, that and more coming up on Season 3, Episode 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast. We'll be back in a sec.
B-Sens are back. Cheer on your Belleville Senators at the home opener weekend presented by CAA.
Into the line, Montempalo, a shot, tipped in front, they score!
Saturday, October 19th, 7 p.m. Your Sens play the Utica Comets, AHL affiliate of the New Jersey Devils, at the home opener presented by CAA. Red carpet arrivals starting at 3:30, Kids Zone starting at 4. Plus, free B-Sens noisemaker giveaway courtesy of CAA. Full details on ticket options and more at BellevilleSens.com.
Go, Sens, go!
All right, back on the Belleville Sens podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. David Foote and Brock Ormond here. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Will be weekly, but the day of the week could change based on the schedule, so make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing now. A rating and a review would help us out, too. And another reminder that tickets are on sale for the upcoming season. I say upcoming, but it's here. The season starts next week. Preseason starts this week, and next on the show, we're going to get into things a little bit with Coach Dave Bell, his first availability at training camp here. The coach is getting the players through their reps as we speak down at ice level at CAA Arena, and it's been an interesting offseason for Dave Bell, Brock, and we've talked about it a little bit earlier on in the summer after he signed his extension and then with the additions of his new staff. But he went from last year having to essentially learn the ropes of being a head coach in the American Hockey League from the start after finishing the half season before. And then fast forward to this offseason, and he's finally comfortable in the job, in the role, but now he's got an entire new staff that he's got to, work in and get used to. And they've had a whole month together in Ottawa, which is helpful, but that must have, I would imagine, thrown a wrench into the coach's plans. He's had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, for sure. And, you'll hear that he is being given an opportunity and really enjoy learning from a guy like Travis Green, who's new to the organization this year as a head coach in Ottawa. And he had talked about stability, too, and being here in the same organization he's been in for the last several years now, not having to move his family, his kids stay in school, his kids stay in the same sports teams. They still have the same connections here in Belleville that they've had for probably more than half a decade now. So that's invaluable for a professional coach. It's not too often that you see professional people staying in the same organization, no matter what sport you're in, but specifically hockey in this case. And Dave Bell is a guy that's really amped up, ready to go, and chomping at the bit. He said, we're not satisfied with just a second-round appearance and losing a couple of one-goal games to a strong Cleveland Monsters team in the second round. They got history out of the way last year with a first-round playoff win, finished the season strong. Now he wants to build off of that and maybe run it all the way to a Calder Cup final. It's a big, tall order because there's a lot of good teams in this league, but certainly it's not out of the realm of possibility if everybody clicks right from the outset.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in this league, but fortunately for Sens fans, Belleville this year is going to be one of them. So that is exciting to say the least. Before we get to this interview, a quick note that these were all recorded earlier this week with Caitlin Pobersnick of Global News Kingston, who is here doing some interviews as well. So if you hear another voice in there that's not mine or Brock's, that's who it is as we get into our interviews this week, starting with the head coach, Dave Bell, on Season 3, Episode 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast. First of all, Coach, nice to be home after some time in Ottawa.
Yeah, long 3 weeks in Ottawa, but happy to be back in the confines of our beautiful building.
How were those few weeks? Productive? Good chance to bond with the new staff and those in Ottawa as well?
Really good. Travis and his staff were outstanding with us, included us in everything. So really good to get to know those guys, get to know his systems, get to know his language, what makes him tick. So it was really, really productive.
Is there a lot to change from your perspective, dealing with a new head coach, I guess, in Ottawa in terms of trying to link everything up?
Systematically, there's a little bit of changes, but the big thing for us is to have continuity with the messaging. So even his lingo, the terms he uses, some of it's a little bit different. So, lots of new terms. Hockey's still hockey, but just to make sure it's the same message getting sent the same way.
It's obviously a pretty positive outlook on the group this year based on last season's success. What are you most excited about? What's got you the most optimistic this year?
Just the growth of some guys, like to grow off of making the playoffs and winning a round, so you can use that as a starting point. That not satisfied at all with how last year ended or what we achieved. I don't think we really achieved much. So there's at least a starting point to go from and build out from there.
You've had a long look at a lot of the younger guys through Dev Camp and Rookie Camp, etc. Are you happy with how some of those guys have progressed through the summer and their off-season training?
Yep, you can see some of the guys put a lot of work in, whether it was conditioning. Everybody came in great shape. Some guys have significantly improved their skating, so they put the work in, so that's positive. Now they got to go apply it in the game and see where they see themselves with how they perform.
Yeah, and I guess I'll piggyback off of that as well. Talked to Halliday, and he'll be one of the main characters in my story today. Obviously had a great performance at the end of last season. Is that another younger guy that you're kind of looking forward to seeing how they perform this year? Yeah,
absolutely, and he's a guy that put a lot of work in with Shelley Kettles, our skating coach. He improved his skating. And for him, this was his first NHL training camp. As a college guy, they're not allowed to go to those, so his eyes got opened up a bit in Ottawa this year, but I think he learned from it, recognizes how fast and how big it is at the National Hockey League level, and that he's still got some work to do to play at that pace.
And then I guess following up on that, only playing half a season, not really getting the full taste of what a full season looks like. What are you hoping he grows from over the next 8 months, hopefully?
I just think he needed to learn his body, right? That's playing college 35-game schedule. Obviously, we double that here. So he's got to manage his rest, manage his eating habits, keep his weight up. But I think he's got figured out the American League pace and the size. It's just, he wants to reach for more. He wants to get to the National Hockey League. So he has to be one of the best players every night here to hopefully get a chance to show himself at the NHL.
How about some of the newer guys, some guys you've known were coming since the summertime, and you finally get a first look at them here on the ice? How are they fitting in early?
They're all good. I think credit to Bones and his research on guys. They're all good people to start with. They all work hard, so that's a huge factor for us as an organization, for me as a coach, that they're all good people. They all work extremely hard. So, again, it's just a matter of, I think we've got a good, deep group of forwards. So these new guys have to produce in the exhibition games and in training camp here to see where they end up seating themselves in the lineup. But depth is not a bad problem to have.
Certainly not. And with that in mind, what are kind of the keys to having a strong camp and making sure you're ready to pick up where this team left off last season in a couple weeks?
Well, I think they have to learn the system, and as coaches and management, you got to recognize, can these guys translate the system that they're being asked to do and do it. And then a non-negotiable is the effort. Whether you're up 1-0 or down 6-0, the effort has to be there and the compete has to be there. And that's right from Travis's mouth, that we're hard to play against no matter what the score is, and nobody outcompetes us. So that message has been relayed to this group, and that's first and foremost the biggest characteristic that will be the Belleville Senators.
One of your players said that he's playing with a group of guys that are playing with heart. Is that kind of the motion that you've been getting as well?
Heart, character, tenacious, whatever adjective you want to use for it. It's just a no quit, no easy out, and know that when you finish playing us, whether you win or lose, you know you played a hard game.
And then kind of a simpler question, if you could kind of label the season as one thing, what are you hoping to label it as?
This upcoming season?
Yeah.
Opportunity. How's that? There's a big opportunity for this group to take another step, so it's up to us and them to take that opportunity and not waste it.
So there's head coach Dave Bell, his first media availability at training camp, and a lot of good stuff in there, Brock, especially about kind of like what we touched on in segment one, how important training camp is, again, for those players trying to earn a spot or more ice time, and then just in general as a team to get yourself ready as a group to compete in the American Hockey League.
Yeah, and absolutely, he's right when he says that we're not going to get outworked. And Travis Green, when it comes from a new coach in an organization in the NHL, usually it tends to reverberate. And of course, Travis Green put his team through the ringer in training camp and practices and that to prepare them for the rigors of a schedule like what Ottawa and what Belleville has. And it seems like it's benefited Belleville so far. Training camp's been pretty upbeat, up-tempo, which is great to see. And Coach Bell said this is an opportunity to really seize the moment here in the AHL and make the North Division theirs. And quite frankly, it could be theirs if they just all put it together. And they got a little bit of flash, but the biggest thing is they got to have character and heart and also the effort, because if they don't have that, then they don't have much. So they got to keep themselves straight and narrow, and got to get great goaltending as well. The goaltending was outstanding last year from Marilainen, Sogard, Mandalese. A couple new faces this year, but it shouldn't be any different, and I'm sure the Sens will be great from the net out once again.
We will speak to one of those new faces when we come back. Xavier Bourgault, a former first-round pick to the Edmonton Oilers, joins us next on this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, only on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour with figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poget, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, Ilaj Balde, and more. Stars on Ice, coming to CAA Arena December 8th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Back on the Belleville Sens podcast, thanks to Dave Bell for his time a couple of days ago as we roll through our interviews this week from Belleville Sens training camp. Next week on the show, we'll have some more content recapping the preseason games and getting you set for the season opener in Rochester next week. We'll just keep picking stuff up from there. as we roll along. David Foote, Brock Ormond here. Practice underway at CAA Arena. The last segment there, Brock, you mentioned the jump, the pace, the tempo of these practices. I mean, when Dave Bell blows that whistle, these guys are putting pedal to the floor, and you can tell that message of effort and work ethic has certainly been preached, and it's gotten across, it seems, early in camp.
Yeah, for sure, and it helps when you got guys that already know the score, they know the system. Coming back here, guys like Sabrango, like Montpaulo from last year, Cruikshank and Boucher, Halliday, Daou, Rees, all of them, Pedersen too, Pilon, Reinhardt, like the list goes on. And like we mentioned, David, earlier in the summer, there's about 9 or 10 guys or so that made their return from last year, which may be almost unprecedented in the AHL, outside of maybe a Calder Cup winning team. So it shows that guys really have the mojo, and they really have the idea that they want to be back here and they want to start something special. And of course, Coach David Bell really has instilled a good system of compete level and hard work and character and all that stuff like every team hopes to have. But this Sens team certainly showed a lot of heart through a bit of adversity last year. And this year in camp has been pretty fast paced, and it seems like it'll just build as it goes along, which is absolutely a good thing. And of course, it's what you want from a team like this that really wants to try and take a hold of the North Division and try and maybe earn top spot even, you never know, and try and avoid some of those best-of-3 series in the playoffs. But still a long ways to go from that. Belleville just got to get off to a strong start like they did last year. And of course, it doesn't hurt to play in 2 really tough divisional buildings right off the top as well. So that's why guys have to be extra amped and ready to go. And the nice part about the preseason this year, they don't have to leave their homes. Mm-hmm. They're right here in the friendly city, which is amazing and should help them really recharge better as well.
Yeah, we're pretty happy about that too. Yeah. Not having to
yeah,
travel for
absolutely.
1 extra week off the road makes a world of difference at the end of the day. And as much as those veteran guys are naturally a big piece of the puzzle, so are the new guys. And for the Belleville Sens, there were some pretty notable names that left the organization either through trade or free agency in the offseason. One of the big ones was Roby Arvetti, who was dealt to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for Jake Chason and Xavier Bourgault. Now, a lot of fans upset to see Arvetti go. They were sad to see Sokolov go for Jan Yannick down to Colorado as well, but or Arizona, Utah. Holy cow, Dave. Yes. Figure it out. The NHL turning into the AHL with all the movement. Sokolov is in Utah. Arvetti is in Edmonton, and that's what we're talking about. It's Roby Arvetti in Edmonton. And, obviously Roby was a highly touted prospect. There was a lot of expectation on him. Ditto for a guy like Xavier Bourgault, who now comes further to the east from where he was in Bakersfield and Edmonton, and gets a fresh start in a market that could not be much more different, I would say, at both levels, the NHL and the AHL.
Yeah, going pretty far west is Roby Arvetti, and getting Xavier Bourgault back in return. There's a little bit of a change of the guard, so to speak, with Bourgault, a young guy that is still only 21, turning 22 later this month. So that's the biggest thing with him, is trying to find a way onto this team and really settle himself. And, of course, he's got all those vets here that can really help him out. And that's another big help to have when you got all these veterans here, is they know the system, they know what David Bell expects of them, so they can pass that on down to a guy like Bourgault, who is trying to find some consistency and some stability of his own here in the American Hockey League. And fellow teammate Jake Chason's in the same boat, except he's trying to get from the ECHL to the AHL more full-time, which he didn't really get out west in Bakersfield, California. So Bourgault from Islay, Quebec, should be an interesting piece to watch, and fans should absolutely watch for number 13 on the ice in preseason. I imagine he'll play in both games, but we'll see how he does, and I'm sure that his speed and his finesse and his little bit of grittiness will really play well into Belleville's lineup.
That's where my confusion was coming, because he'll take over the 13 from Igor Sokolov. So
that's
how it all got mixed up in my silly little brain. He's going to be a big piece of the offense. Belleville was not, frankly, one of the higher scoring teams in the league last season, And the hope is that a guy like Xavier Bourgault can help to remedy that. Let's hear from him as Season 3, Episode 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. First off, welcome to Belleville. Wanted to ask about the trade back in the summertime. What was the reaction to being moved, and how did that impact your summer?
I was a bit surprised. Didn't expect the trade really, but I started thinking about it. Pretty happy. New start for me, and yeah, pretty exciting to be here now.
Yeah, how did you spend your summer outside of your training?
Just seeing my family, my friends. I live in Montreal in the summer, but I live like close from Quebec City. But just when I go back home, just spend some time with my family and friends because I don't see them pretty often. So now it's going to be nice to be a bit closer from home.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that as well. Getting to move a little further east. How nice will it be to be, just a few hours drive from home?
Really nice for sure. I'm going to have the chance to see my family more. They're going to be able to come watch the game. My friends will be able to come watch the game too. So yeah, really excited for that part of the game and the season.
Chatting with Sens forward Xavier Bourgault. For our fans who may not be familiar with you, how would you describe your kind of play style, and is there anybody you maybe model your game after?
For sure, I'm pretty offensive players, but I can also be good on the forecheck. I have a good stick on puck, and I'm ready to take a big step this year.
Yeah, how much do you think the fresh start is going to help? Sometimes that can do a world of difference for players.
I don't want to look too much ahead of me, but I'm ready to take a big step this year. I really want to focus on myself, growing as a young player, just watching the small details on the defensive side of the game too. So I'm ready to take a big step on that side of the game.
And then I guess coming into a team that just came off of a good playoff run, something that they haven't necessarily done in a little bit, what are your hopes for this team? I mean, you must have seen what happened last season, so what are you kind of hoping to bring into this season from that?
For sure, as a player coming here, it's pretty exciting. I'm still learning the guys here, but they've got a good group of guys here, good leaders. There's some new guys too coming here, so I think we're all pretty excited about this season. For sure, it's not going to be easy. It's always, you never know in the playoff who's going to be good. It's always about working hard. So yeah, pretty exciting to the team that had a good playoff run last year.
And then one of my last questions, you said you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, but there's always wanting to look from what you can expect from yourself this season. What are you going to bring to the table?
For sure, the last 2 years I've learned a lot to be a pro hockey player. It's a lot of learning coming off from junior. So this year I want to take a big step in playing confident as like I was playing in junior, like holding some pucks, creating a lot of plays as an offensive player, but also be aware defensively.
A couple more questions here for Xavier Bourgault. How have you been settling into camp? What have the first impressions been of Belleville, of the rink, of the facilities here?
Facilities are pretty impressive for American Hockey League. I mean, the rink's pretty cool. I mean, the staff is great too. I had the chance to meet all the staff now. We've got some great gyms, so it's really exciting. I mean, the Belleville is a nice city too, along the water, so really happy.
It's not California.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'll wait to see what's the winter here, but yeah, we'll see.
All right, lastly, you kind of talked about getting yourself worked into things. What are the keys to having a strong camp and being ready in 2 weeks here for the season opener?
Just play my game, focus on myself, and as I said, don't think about the other stuff. Don't put pressure on yourself, so I really want to focus on myself and play my game.
One of the newest Belleville Sens, Xavier Bourgault, and there is, I think, a lot for him to be excited about, as he kind of said. Fresh start, which we talked about, moving a fair amount closer to home, which he discussed a little bit in there. Let's touch on that for a second, because it might not seem like a big thing. You look at these players, you go, they've been away from home since they were 16. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. But it does. It's even to know that your family is 4 hours away rather than a flight away is just such a comforting feeling. And when you need that extra bit of support and your friends and family can easily get there to provide that to you, it's just it's an earth-shattering difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And Quebec and Ottawa even not too far away. And here in going from one province over instead of having to make that flight is so crucial, and it gives you that peace of mind to know that you have family and people coming down to see you, and and maybe attend a couple games instead of having to set aside time, more time, to book the flight and do everything, all the logistics that were required. So it's amazing to have Xavier Bourgault here, and going from Bakersfield to Belleville, not a completely different world, but pretty close, especially given the time difference and the teams in that. He won't see his old Condors teammates this year. But certainly he'll be happy to be here in Belleville and get a little bit, maybe more of an opportunity under Dave Bell, but he's going to be competing and, commiserating with a lot of really good players. So I'll be interested to see how he goes. And like I said, 13, you got to keep a watch for a different 13 this year after Igor Sokolov had a great stint here in Belleville, but he's in Utah. Xavier Bourgault takes over, and he'll be a great piece of this team.
17 forwards in camp as of today, again, October the 3rd. Only 12 can play, and 3 or 4 of those guys are invites on professional tryouts from Orlando. So, again, this is basically the team. 3 or so more guys set to come back from Ottawa. Matt Sogard hasn't been returned yet. Again, Highmore, Jan Yannick, who was the return in the Sokolov trade and has been magnificent through Ottawa Senators camp, is up there still. Of course, Adam Gaudette is still up there, and by the way his preseason is going, I don't know if we see him in Belleville early in the year this year, because he's been electric for the Sens early on in the preseason. So a lot of decisions to be made, and they're going to be tough ones for Steve Staios and company when it comes to deciding who stays and who comes back to help the B-Sens.
Yeah, and it's exciting to have those tough problems to make or to solve, which is outstanding. And you think of all the guys from Belleville like Highmore and Sogard, Tyler Clevin as well, that are still up there, and that's great for them. Zach Ostapchuk, too, who very much, like we said last week, looks like he's going to have the inside shot at one of those last forward spots in Ottawa, which is very well-deserved for him. Had a great rookie campaign last season, still has that goal scorer's touch he had from the Western Hockey League. And Clevin, of course, the K-Train, as we call him, big booming defenseman, got a good shot, hard to play against. Well-deserved for him, and of course Sogard and Highmore as well would be great to have back if Ottawa elects to give them back to Belleville or send them back. So it's a lot of problems to have, but it's good to have them, and certainly it's going to be tough for guys to see ice time when they're on the bottom of the lineup because of how competitive it is.
As Dave Bell said in his interview earlier in this episode, depth is not an issue. And the Belleville Senators have more of it this year than perhaps they've had in the last few seasons. We'll talk to one of the big pieces in last year's playoff run. He wasn't here for the whole season, but it kind of felt like he was, and we'll find out the difference between coming in halfway and starting from scratch at the beginning of the season from forward Wyatt Bongiovanni when we come back. You're listening to the Belleville Sens Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3 on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. In with a shot, rebound, scores! Garrett Pilon in overtime!
Be there for the next great Belleville Sens moment. Single game tickets for 2024-25 Belleville Sens first half home games are now on sale through Ticketmaster or the Belleville Sens box office. Get into the action as the Belleville Senators aim to make more AHL history at CAA Arena. For info on tickets, box office hours, group experiences, partnership opportunities, and more, visit BellevilleSens.com and be part of the team.
All right, another interview coming your way on Season 3, Episode 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast. David Foote, Brock Ormond here. Preseason starts tomorrow, October the 4th at 7 p.m. Belleville Senators, Laval Rocket here at CAA Arena. And then on Sunday, October 6th, Belleville Senators, Toronto Marlies here at CAA Arena. And Toronto and Laval will play each other here on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Tickets for all 3 games available right now at Ticketmaster.ca, $15.75, taxes and fees in, and that's for any seat in the building for the preseason showcase here this weekend, October 4th, 5th, and 6th. And while you're at Ticketmaster, you can also get your seats for the home opener presented by CAA on October 19th. The Fan Fest will be back The player red carpet arrivals are back, and a whole lot more planned for that. So make sure to get your tickets for October 19th and the 20th, frankly. Opening weekend. First time we've ever had that in franchise history here at CAA Arena. So that's the ticket notes. We'll get you those details again at least once more before the end of the show. Let's get to our final interview of the program this week, Brock. And a guy who was acquired at the trade deadline by the Senators last season, coming from the Manitoba Moose, Wyatt Bongiovanni, joins the team. And similar to Stephen Halliday coming in from Ohio State University, Wyatt Bongiovanni comes from Manitoba and just was on fire, and a huge piece of Belleville's late season push and playoff success.
Yeah, Bongiovanni was incredible, and he had a penchant for scoring some pretty clutch goals too. Scored an overtime winner or two and was always buzzing around the net. Whenever the opportunity arose, he would seize it. And he also brought some good character to the dressing room as well. Was a good teammate and kept everybody kind of honest. And a guy that is still fairly young. He's 25 years old, and again from Michigan. So again, another guy coming in from further away that's going to make a huge impact this season, like he did last year. And again, he was buzzing around the net all throughout his time in Belleville. And again, he said it right off the top pretty much when you talked to him when he first came. He's a goal scorer. He loves to score, and that's kind of what most of his job entails. But also learning from the coaching staff here, Coach Dave Bell, how to be a full 200-foot player. And one of those cliches that come up that you got to be a 200-foot player. You got to play in all areas of the ice, because if you don't, you're going to get eaten alive in the American Hockey League. So for Wyatt Bongiovanni, a guy that brings a lot of experience at his young age, and again, another one of those guys like a Reinhardt or a Cruikshank or a Max Canet, not old enough to be a veteran, not young enough to be a rookie, so he'll get in quite frequently, I imagine, so fans can expect a lot of him this year. The
first section of practice is over here. The pucks are getting cleaned up. The Zamboni's coming out for a flood, and then the guys will come out to finish things. While they're flooding, why don't we hear from Wyatt Bongiovanni, our last guest on this third episode of Season 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast. All right, in 3, 2, and 1. Here with Sens forward Wyatt Bongiovanni, back for a full season with the Senators after joining the team at the deadline last year. Welcome back. How was the summer?
It was great. It was a nice time at home. Spend time with family, friends. Get to enjoy yourself a little, train a little bit. It's time well spent.
Yeah, I know you were traveling as well with the family. What was the coolest thing you did? Maybe the best thing you ate over your summer?
Italy, for sure. I got the chance to go over with my family and spend close to 2 weeks there. So it'd be tough to tell you one spot. We got to, honestly, it was kind of like the hole-in-the-wall locations that blew us away. So a lot of farm to table and memorable dishes for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to take that trip after signing your extension here pretty early in the summer before the free agency window even opened. How nice was it to get that deal done early, and maybe what were some of the keys to agreeing to that as quickly as you did?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that things unraveled for me when I got dealt here in last March, it made it pretty clear to me that this is a spot that I wanted to be, and a spot that I was respected and had some opportunities. So wherever you're in a spot that they kind of treat you that way, and you feel comfortable right away. The guys coming back as well, that plays a part into it. So there were a lot of pros, not that many cons. So it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure from the organization standpoint as well, obviously, they feel the same way. How nice is it to be kind of part of this process from the beginning? You took part in Sens camp in Ottawa as well, just as opposed to jumping in halfway through the year.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think, familiar faces, a lot of new staff, a lot of new people. I obviously haven't been to Ottawa before, so that experience was nice, and coming back to Belleville is, the summer was well spent, but it felt like it flew by a little bit. So it's nice to be back.
Yeah, how's it been kind of working in with the new staff? A lot of changes here and in Ottawa as well.
Yeah, no, it's good. Everyone gets acclimated pretty quickly. You learn each other's nicknames, and things get pretty friendly around the rink pretty quickly. So, it's a pretty smooth transition overall.
What are your first impressions of what you've seen as far as the group on the ice this year and what this team could look like?
It's been good so far. The first couple skates have been fast. Guys are trying to establish a spot on the team. Some guys are establishing, whether they want to be a power play or, a certain time on the ice. So it's a good competitive time of the year. The team looks good. Team looks fast, snapping the puck around. It's been fun.
And then earlier you said playing with a lot of guys that have a lot of heart in this already. How does it feel to be able to go on the ice with a bunch of guys that genuinely do care about what the team presents on the ice?
It's great. I mean, I think that we all, we all have goals and we all have standards that we want to meet for ourselves. And, I think that whenever you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people, which we do here in Belleville, it's a recipe for success.
And then I've been asking everybody who's come up here so far, expectations for this year. Obviously, every team ever has said that they want to make it to the end and they want to win. That's a no-brainer. But for you and yourself, what are the expectations that you want to see from the team on the ice this year?
I want us to be competitive every night, and I want us to be a hard team to play against. I want, especially at home, protect home ice, take pride in wearing the B on your chest, and I think that'll take us a long way.
And then a great performance from the team last season going into the playoffs. Does that carry over into the beginning of the season this year, do you think?
Yeah, I think it gives us confidence. I think, getting that first playoff experience, it just raises the level of expectations, right? So no longer is it we want to make playoffs, we want to go on a playoff run and we want to win. So that will always be our goal. But now that we got kind of a taste of it, and the city's got a taste of it, we want some more.
Perfect. That's great.
Good.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.
Wyatt Bongiovanni on the Belleville Sens podcast. And, the players want some more. The fans want some more. Frankly, the staff wants some more. Everybody wants to see more success than this team was able to garner last year, which, again, as Brock said, way off the top of the show by, historical standards, it was one of the best seasons in franchise history. It was the best playoff run in franchise history, but it all doesn't really matter at the end of the day when you roll around to the start of a new season and the goal is the same as it was 12 months ago.
That's right. That's Calder Cup for sure. I mean, it's not for the Sens. They're trying to make it that Calder Cup or bust mentality, and again, it's a lot of pressure to put on a team, especially given that they have won one round in playoff history, but at the end of the day, that's what you have to do because every other team does. So it's all about, putting that mindset in place that we want that Calder Cup and nobody's going to get in our way. And certainly the Hershey Bears winning back-to-back gives Belleville a nice blueprint. Garrett Pilon was on one of those teams in 2022-23, so he, of all people, should know what it's like to win a championship, and he's talked about it last year. Can't get too high, can't get too low, but you got to have a drive and a hunger for winning and for scoring and doing everything positive on the ice and in the dressing room, on the bench, and what have you. So Coach Bell's got everybody ramped up in this training camp and practice session, and this week has been great to get guys on the ice and get them working hard for it. And now it'll be interesting to see how it goes this weekend. And Laval and Toronto, always tough opponents, and of course the Sens will have to get off to a strong start. And of course, the results, they don't technically count, but they do at the same time because you want to get off to a good. So you want to win. You want to give yourselves something to build off of and confidence and what have you, especially going into two tough buildings in Rochester and Syracuse next weekend. So looking forward to what this team has in store for the preseason too.
It's a lot of pressure, as you say, Brock, to put on a team, but it does seem like this group is ready for it. All the guys that are back again, and even the newcomers and the rookies, all ready to go as training camp continues. We'll take one more break and wrap up this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast as we get you set for preseason hockey at CAA Arena coming up this weekend. We're back in just a moment on the Belleville Sens podcast.
A new season is fast approaching for the Belleville Senators, and your group can get closer to the action. No, closer. Belleville Senators group packages are now available. Score ticket discounts with a group of 10 or more and get right in the action with unforgettable group packages like the Benchwarmer Experience, Sin Bin Experience, High Five Tunnel, and Player Meet and Greets. Get closer with the Belleville Senators. Explore group experiences online. BellevilleSens.com.
Our last segment of this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. Hope you've enjoyed the show so far. David Foote and Brock Ormond getting set to wrap this thing up in just a few minutes, but not after we remind you again that preseason hockey begins tomorrow, October 4th, 7 p.m., Belleville and Laval. Saturday the 5th, Laval and Toronto at 3 p.m., and Sunday the 6th, Belleville and Toronto at 3 p.m. Tickets are $15.75. Taxes and fees in Ticketmaster.ca right now. And you can get yours. You can sit on the glass for $15.75. Can't beat it. As the preseason returns to CAA Arena. Regular season kicks off next week in Rochester, as we mentioned, on Friday the 11th, Saturday the 12th in Syracuse, and then the following Saturday, the 19th, home opener presented by CAA, home opener weekend presented by CAA. The 19th against the Utica Comets. We'll have the Fan Fest pregame starting at 4 p.m. We'll have the player red carpet arrivals around the same time, so get here early if there's someone specific that you'd like to see. And then Sunday, we've got the Syracuse Crunch coming to Belleville for the first time. Our first matinee is a 3 p.m. start, so again, Ticketmaster.ca for all of your tickets for home opener weekend, preseason, and beyond. Want to talk about another big announcement we made this week, Brock. The Children's Foundation here in the Quinte region, Northumberland and Hastings counties, held its Kids Can't Wait Radiothon this week. And Ben Cochran from our operations department and I stopped by the Children's Foundation to announce the launch for the Belleville Sens, but it's the relaunch for the Children's Foundation of the Cheering for Children program. This is something that the Children's Foundation, back when it was Children's Aid Society of Hastings Prince Edward, they ran this program with the Belleville Bulls, and we're just picking it up exactly as it was, and it's pretty simple. Fans who are interested in donating to the Children's Foundation can pledge a dollar amount for every goal scored by the Belleville Sens this season. 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2 more, whatever it is. And at the end of the season, every time the Sens score, we'll put all those pledges into the grand total. And at the end of the year, we hope to have a bunch of cash to hand over to the Children's Foundation to help underserved kids in our community. It's an outstanding partnership, a great program, and hopefully a lot of people will get involved. Last season, to give you a base number, if you're trying to figure out what your personal donation could amount to, the Belleville Sens have averaged about 220 goals a season over the last 3 years. So if you donate $1 a goal, that would work out to $220 at the end of the season. But it's a great program. Yeah, and any little bit helps as well. Great to see that program back. I do vaguely recall when that fundraiser was around when the Bulls were around. So it's great to have that back. And Children's Foundation does so much good work for the community. And the Kids Can't Wait Radiothon, one of those things, and then partnering with community partners like the Belleville Senators, which makes everybody win, and it's awesome to have. And like you say, whatever you can donate doesn't matter. It all goes to the right causes for sure. And if you can donate $5, $20 even, it helps just that much more, many more people. So it's awesome to have. Yeah, and part of what the Children's Foundation is doing with some of this money is helping kids to get into sports. And I played minor sports. You played minor sports, Brock. I think A lot of people did, and a lot of people have kids who do, and I think everybody can attest to the benefits of playing minor sports as a kid and just learning those life lessons and new skills and making friends, etc. And a lot of these kids are not able to do that. So by way of this program and others through the Children's Foundation, they are able to, and it's just awesome when you get to see that get back out into the community.
Yeah, giving back for sure, and that's exactly what it's all about. And the Sens have done that quite a bit over now almost 8 seasons in the American Hockey League, and they've really instilled themselves as part of the fabric of this community, for lack of a better word. And not just Belleville, but the Quinte region as well. And the Children's Foundation is one of those community partners that benefit big time from the Sens support and the community support. So it's awesome to see this, and those partnerships really can go a long way. And it not only gives goodwill for the Sens, but it also gives the Children's Foundation a little more of an extra boost, because, of course, an American Hockey League team partnering with you, it certainly doesn't shadow you or shy you away. It puts you right out there in the community and beyond. So it's awesome to see that, and really looking forward to that promotion this year.
You can learn more at thechildrensfoundation.ca or bellevillesens.com. If you'd like to sign up to pledge to donate to the Children's Foundation through the Cheering for Children program. Again, just one of the many community initiatives that are back again. We'll have the BP Buddies program back again. Sens in School will begin in a couple of weeks. We'll be back out to engaging with students across the area. So all of that stuff along with the hockey. Making for a pretty packed schedule right off the hop here in early October.
Yeah, busy schedule for sure, and nice to see. We mentioned it earlier in the summer as well. Nice to see that Sens in School program back because, again, kids love seeing professional hockey players. They love seeing any sort of, big name, if you will, people in the community, and so that's great to have that, and along with everything else, and along with the theme nights here at home. A bunch of other stuff going on. It's those activations are going to really pay back in spades for the organization in the community.
We launched our FM transmitter in the building as well. So if you're coming to any of the games this weekend or throughout the season, bring your FM receiver and your headphones. You can tune into 88.1 FM inside CAA Arena during games to catch the action from the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. Again, stay tuned to Sens socials at Belleville Sens or the website bellevillesens.com for all the latest news, notes, and headlines. Brock and I will be back again next week to recap the preseason and get you set for the start of the 2024-25 American Hockey League campaign. For now, we'll say goodbye. Thanks to Brock for co-piloting, as always, to Xavier Bourgault, Wyatt Bongiovanni, and Dave Bell for their time, and, of course, to you for listening. One more reminder to subscribe to the show and toss us a rating, and we will see you next week on the Belleville Sens podcast.